as a leader, it is very important to understand that you need to compartmentalize your life. This is a general approach which I share. Your life has 7 different compartments, from your private life to personal life, professional life, health life, social life, spiritual life, financial life, to your success life. There are different kinds of compartments.
For both leaders and employees, the workplace, physical and virtual, rife with emotional complexities, make it essential for all the stakeholders to learn key communication and interpersonal skills. Arguably, one of the most important skills in any relationship is the ability to create and maintain healthy boundaries. Without boundaries, misunderstanding and resentments can go unchecked. Hello and welcome to the Honest Talk by Freak Folks. I'm Harsh Pandey. For this particular session, we have with us very special guest today, Ms. Rajni Julka ma'am, dynamic leader having 17 plus years of total experience with 15 years of administrative and leadership experience as a principal, HOD, and global strategy. Business excellence for project planning, course development, and operations. Signature strength is a unique blend of strong industry and academia experience with excellent strategy planning and execution, administration, institutional branding, stakeholder engagement, coaching, training, and hashtag industry expertise, winning attitude. So first of all, ma'am, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much for joining and agreeing to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you so much, Harsh, for the invite, and lovely start you have done to actually empower the people. So my pleasure being on your show.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That's actually our pleasure too. So moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen is maintaining boundaries, how to lead within the leadership pipeline. Great leadership can bring great success to the company. But if you ever ask the businessman the most important or difficult part of the businessman will say many things. One thing similar which you will notice in identifying, developing, or recruiting the leadership and the leadership pipeline model will help in it. Choosing the right leader is really hard and confusing thing. Without proper leadership, the company will fall and the lives of people will be disrupted. The leadership pipeline model is very impactful and successful actually model for developing leaders in organization. And my very first request to you is kindly explain to our viewers in actually the most simplest word what is leadership pipeline is and what is the purpose of leadership pipeline.
Harsh, very interesting topic. Of course, work on a leadership role in the education segment within the school and also on the corporate side of the EdTech. Of course, the leaders do have different levels of leadership. One is the top leadership, which is called the CEO. The another levels are the COO or the CIO. We have senior managers also, under whom the other team members works as managers, leads. So, of course, these all, if you see the hierarchy through which we are creating leadership, the one who is basically responsible for executing the strategy are also leaders. The one who is actually doing the strategy is also a leader. So all these who are actually in the different band or the levels are the leadership pipeline. So the key in the leadership pipeline is always leading. Who leads either in implementation, who leads either in execution, or who leads either in strategic, or who leads the entire team, or a vertical, or a group of members. So it's all about leading, influencing, and believing, and like one-to-one attention, straightforward, coming from the top of the company, who is the CEO of the company. At times, that is very coveted. So that has been departmentalized or been, collaborative success is only possible when there is a trust factor and belief that yes, we have hired a group of leaders who are basically going to do the strategy, leaving them on them, of course, implementation. And so that is what we call about leadership pipeline, where the leading is happening by someone and there is a team who actually follows that.
Indeed, ma'am. I think actually you have very beautifully explained this, and I'm sure those who are watching this session, they are they actually get this. And my next question to you is, what we have seen is generally for many people, it's difficult to set boundaries or say no to others. This can be especially challenging for those who are self-identify as people's pleaser or workaholics. There are tons of articles, books, and talks about the power of yes. Of course, there are many times when saying yes is a great. And my request to you is, kindly explain the viewers about the importance of learning how to set boundaries and how to say no. Actually, this is very important in this fast-paced changing world, which is the real key to sustaining healthy relationship with yourself and others.
So you gave me the reply, Harsh, and that's the beauty of being a leader. Leaders should come from soul leadership is something which I follow, and I have given. I do share with people that soul leadership or inspired soul leadership is something which every leaders need to follow. Now, you yourself told that you should first be yourself or owe yourself.
Right.
So setting boundaries, I don't see that there is setting a boundaries for anyone. In a leadership, it is very important that you should know yourself first, your own boundary. If I know my own role, automatically if I adhere to it and I fix to it, then I'm setting my boundaries in the leadership line. Now, this idea of leadership pipeline, it was first developed in 1970 by General Electric HR consultant who was also a teacher. He was Walt Maher.
Okay.
So the purpose was that leadership, what he brought was that any leader who is in the pipeline should be by nature influential. He should influence. That's the key of a leadership pipeline. The moment you influence anyone, and we know where we fit in, the strategic execution will automatically happen within the team or the circle. Now, any leader there is a book by Peter Druck in 2004 he has written. The book is about American CEO. Why I'm talking about the CEO? Because it's all rails down from the top to the bottom.
Yes, right.
All comes from the top to the bottom. So it's very important if the top notch of the company is knowing that he's the link between the organization and the outside world or the society. What he will actually follow will actually seep towards the team and the other leadership pipeline. So individual gains more experience, authority, responsibility, even authenticity. So I would say that there are 6 phases of a leadership pipeline, and it is equally divided into first 3 phases and the last 3 phases, where we get to know that it is a long way and it can be just summarized in one word, which is called managing yourself. So first you manage yourself rather than managing the team. First 3 phases about managing your managers, and the final three phase is basically managing the functionality, the business, or the group management is called the last 3 phase. If you sum up the all 3 and 3 which I shared, these comes as like managing yourself. So currently what I'm also like doing, starting my own setup. So I'm in mode of a trend setting. I'll just give you my example because it's too
Sure.
early for me to reach to that level. But of course, to a level of a leadership pipeline is in setting up a trend, which is basically called influencing. Now, we'll talk about general way. Let's talk about an example of a football. Quarterback, the function of a quarterback is basically to throw the ball. That's his job. He cannot be wide in receiving the ball, running back behind the ball, or holding the ball tight. That is not his function or the job rules. So here is the trust that he just passes the ball and the next team member is doing and pushing to the court. So there is a trust which is developed. There is a fitment about knowing my own role. So that is actually the boundary each one has to set within. When an action is taken with a trust to do that job, even any leader who comes in, whether any level, band 1, band 2, band 3, they all will perform the job in a series, in a way, in a pattern, which would actually develop this boundary self and also set up the organizational structure. So setting boundaries with self is more important, and letting the people know their job role is itself a setting a boundary in an indirect way. Actually, it's not setting a boundary, but that will reduce the chaos, that will reduce the confusions. I would say the morale, which is sometimes down, where so there is a very thin line of difference between leaders and bosses, where when you overjudge anyone, when you don't trust your team member, when you jump yourself as a leader and do it, that also somewhere uh, it impacts on the morale also. Micromanaging is disheartening, and I think micromanaging is not a way in leadership pipeline. So when you know your own work, when you know what is your job role, that will set your boundaries yourself as a leader.
Indeed, ma'am. I think actually you have defined it very beautifully, and you have stressed on the part that why we need to actually set the boundaries and why is it very important. Now, my next question to you is, or again, it's a kind of a request to you is, please tell our viewers what are unhealthy boundaries and what are the things one must consider before setting his or boundaries.
Okay, that is a very, very interesting. I think we, when we talk about leadership, or generally we talk about the processes and other part, we basically focus on being like a leader rather than doing. So of course there are negative sides of leadership roles also, where there is a lot of chaos and
Right.
confusion. One is, the best is that everyone is involved, which is very, very important, that everyone is involved and everyone knows where they fit in. It is vital actually to recognize, and dipping down is, that will not, dipping down is not beneficial for the company. Now let's be also honest about when we overdo or when we overstep. So
Mm.
if there is a team under me, I'm overdoing as a leader, I'm guiding a lot, I'm myself doing the strategy, then that leads to a negativity. That leads to, I would say, frustration, suffocation. That leads to confusion also. That leads to not creating a leadership pipeline. Because if you leave the team, they will do themselves, they will juggle, they will struggle. You should be as of like giving tips and influencing. So let's be honest about when we overstep our own boundaries and keep our focus where it should be, it will serve the best purpose. Now negativity comes also, like attrition rates goes high when team does not feel that they are doing in performance. So self doing is something which is very much important when we talk about negativities in the leader. Effectiveness and satisfaction goes down.
Right.
The interest level, employee engagement is something which is very critical. You can only engage an employee when you trust, when you let him do his job roles, the core competencies, the key areas which he's supposed to, and let it come on your table, and then you can discuss and have a feedback, rather than every time jumping and trying to put your thought process in what is happening. So no matter it's about the deadline or the timeline at times, but it should not be always that. So these creates negative atmosphere, and the conducive atmosphere of the working style uh, degrades at times.
Indeed, ma'am. Actually, you have told this was really a meaningful answer from your side. And my next question to you is actually this is a quite general question, not very much related to the topic, but I just wanted to ask from you, as we moved into this 21st year of this 21st century and passing through this very unprecedented time, the way we do business has changed. We now operate in a new environment that can be very aptly described as VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. The pace of change is fast and getting faster. Organizations are flatter, customer demands are ever increasing, competition is global, and continuous disruptions are now considered as new normal. And what is needed to survive and thrive in such a VUCA world? What kind of skills actually needed?
See, of course, it's a VUCA world. I think transactional leadership is required more. Of course, businesses are going up. Like I started my own small setup in 2018. Of course, pandemic was there. There was a hit. Of course, everything went online. The clients, the pay structure went down. A small team size, we are 3 people as of now. Scaling was on a, I would say, on a saturated point. Now again, it has picked up because again now things have opened up. So it is of course very disruptive. Transactional leadership is very, very important because it's a very challenging time. You can get opportunity from any side. Thriving in those times is very critical now. If now you can thrive, scaling up will be easier on the later side. As of now, thriving is very, very important. So whatever opportunities come, like online has boomed up. I myself has started as a leader being more open towards the online method of working, which I have been. So leaders do have, as a human being, they have different shades of their lifestyles, different shades of making the presence. Of course, some people, leaders are of low profile. They are hesitant of the camera. I may be one
Right.
of them. But slowly, the demand of the time says that your availability to the world, that knowing what you are doing is very important as of now.
Mm,
What you're able to deliver on your plate is very important. What is the vision and goals you're looking to? How much you're putting your trust, how much you're working on it is very important. Plus the emotional involvement. I've seen that setting, clear emotional involvement of your own self with yourself is very, very important, because sometimes you have direct reportees under you. If you are not clear with your own emotional boundaries or emotional involvement in what you're doing, and you do not share the same with your team member, holding the team member is another big problem. So digitalization has gone very high. It's challenging
right.
time, but there are huge opportunities to crack with. I think it's not about a business as together as of now, or in terms of making revenue. It's more about letting the world know what you're doing at this point of time. And the skill development is very high. So
Mm,
focusing on developing your skills is something which will help you to actually fit into all pockets,
yes.
where you can actually loop and have the transactional businesses all together coming up, and then you become a transactional leader yourself. So that is a way of, you have to ramify your business as of now as much as you can, to let the maximum crowd of people know about it. So according to me, as patience is very important. Knowing yourself is very important. As I told, if you don't know yourself, what you're doing or setting your goals, it will be very difficult to scale up or to let the people know what you would like to do. So that is something which is very important.
Indeed, ma'am. Actually, this was really a very insightful answer from your side, and you have mentioned one very good point that it's actually very important to make yourself updated, and skill development is very important in today's era. And also, we need to actually accept this that technology is getting advanced by the minute, not by the hour or by the day. So we need to actually accept and need to transform ourselves as per the as per the condition. Ma'am, my next question to you is. Whenever we work with the peoples, whenever we have to handle people, there are certain kinds of disagreements, and which is very obvious. So, ma'am, my request to you is kindly share some tips, or it would be great if you could share some of your personal experience. How do you handle disagreement with your coworkers, and how do you define leadership failure?
Harsh, disagreement are, I think, a healthy approach.
Mm,
The
right,
more you disagree, you will get more ideas.
exactly, yes.
So in my previous organization also, where I worked, I've handled the team, there have been disagreements, but it is towards, only limited towards the work, not at the personal front. As a leader, it is very important to understand that you need to compartmentalize your life. This is a general approach which I share. Your life has 7 different compartments, from your private life to personal life to professional life to health life to social life to spiritual life to financial life to your success life. There are different kinds of compartments. Now when I'm relating to one of my employee, or when I'm relating to my team, that moment, what is my goal? Keeping that in mind, if I relate with my team and I only talk and keep my emotions linked only around that, that is the best way actually to link yourself and get the work done. Because setting boundaries is not only about the work. Okay, this is my work A, or this is my work B, or this is my work C. Your emotions comes along with. There'll be a lot of peer pressure comes along with.
Right.
Your environmental pressure comes along with. Your family pressure comes along with. As a leader, how empathetic you are, how humble you are, that matters a lot. And it is very important to judge. It's not about getting a business owner overnight, because Rome was not built in it. With trust you put, okay, I have a deadline for a plan A. Plan B is also important. What happens if my plan A is delayed by so and so date? I have a plan B of so and so date, which is only known to me as a leader. Because as a leader, I have to be strategic enough to get my work done within the time limits. But my commitments to the outer world, as I told, the leaders are the link between the organization and also the external world or the society. So when if I have committed something to my client, suppose A, and I know that my strength of my team is A or B, or I have mixed of the team members, but overall the strength of the team will be able to deliver or justify in that or not. That is my commitment to my client, understanding and analyzing, because when I'm hiring and when I'm training my team, I know that how much time will it take for my team to deliver that task. So based on that, it is my job role to commit that to my client or to share that with the client. That's like having a capping system, something on on the road, which will help you to sustain or get your work done on. So that is a style. One is which I carry. Second is training your. I would use the word training because training is like taming. Empowering your team is very very important. Time to time, some healthy discussions happening. Having a quality time circle with them once a month, meeting them offline is very important. Actually, that creates a bond and recharges a team member very much in terms of getting your, working together towards a strategic goal. So that's a shift in your thought process. So mindset is very important as a leader, that you should have a growth mindset, that you should always shift from strategy to issues. Leaders are supposed to solve issues. They are solution makers. So that is very important, them to connect to industry culture, setting the trend. So when you are having these empathetic side, when you are a good strategic but more jumping into a problem solver, your team would approach to you. Okay, happens with me actually. They reach out to me at times. Okay, ma'am, this was the problem. How do I do it? So because they get solutions from me, I give them the solution and it works for them. If a leader has that kind of influence, your half the work is done because team will take over the charge and do for you.
Right. Indeed, ma'am. I think actually you have defined it very well. And I'm sure, ma'am, there's a lot more to learn from you. But today I don't want to take too much of your time. So moving to my last question of this session, what are some tips or advices would you like to suggest to young millennials?
Okay, young millennials are very close to my heart because that's the segment I lead. And I think I would praise basically that the millennials indeed are very sensible, but they're very sensitive and strong also. I've seen they have a very sharp vision. They have long vision. All suggestion is that patience is required and perseverance is required.
Right.
The trust that yes, they have potential is important. Would suggest the millennials to have a very strong and a good mentor who guides them with the life challenges, because in this disruptive world today, lot of things are coming up. Exposure to social media has gone high up. Availability of so many things makes a lot of confusion.
Yes.
Suggest them to declutter, think through, sit in a while, what they want to do in next 6 months, what they want to achieve in next 1 year, write down on a piece of paper, try to achieve small in daily basis, little bit, tidbits, not much. Small things make huge difference in life. That's very, very important. And focus on what you want to do. It's not about just thinking something I want to do now. You stick to it for a couple of months or a quarter and then you are bored. Please do not do that unless and until you don't put the effort, unless and until you don't stick and I would say fail multiple times, because this is the right age to fail as many times you can. Indeed. Because the lessons you will learn will actually boom and you will make it successful in the longer run. So my all best wishes to millennials and all love for them.
Indeed, ma'am. Actually, you have mentioned a very good point that there is an information overload, but you need to be selective. And thank you so much, ma'am, for joining and giving your important time. It was a kind of a healthy discussion with you on the topic. We look forward to conduct more sessions with you in future.
Thank you so much, Harsh. God bless you and many thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
On the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside, I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside, I'm alone.